Part 2. Ling Guifei, Jinyang Hall is divided into a front yard and a backyard. The front yard is full of flowers, and the backyard is rockery and flowing water. The beauty of the scenery is comparable to the scenic spots in some scenic spots. Yi Yang ignored the little doubting behind him who discouraged him from going out, went to the flowers, looked at the pink and tender flowers among the green leaves, and felt relieved. He asked Xiaodouting to bring a chair and sit next to the flowerbed, enjoying the scenery and basking in the sun. It was a pleasant life. Isn't the day when the clothes come to stretch out my hands and the food comes to open my mouth to be the good day I dream of? He was habitually looking for his mobile phone, but it took him a long time to realize that he had crossed over. Mobile phones, computers, etc., became the past tense. Laughing out loud, it seems that life really can't be perfect. Looking up, I saw that the sky was so blue that people couldn't take their eyes away. The birds and flowers were fragrant around, and birds was chirping on the branches. For a moment, he seemed to have returned to his childhood, when the sky was so blue, the birds also chirped like this, and the laughter of his parents seemed to echo in his ears. Really, when I'm free, I miss my parents who died in a car accident. Yi Yang blinked hard, holding back the tears in his eyes, and continued to appreciate the clear sky he had never seen in his time. However, this comfort did not last 10 minutes, he could not sit still. He has been poisoned by his mobile phone for many years, and he wants to play with his mobile phone all the time. He suddenly remembered that a netizen once said, if you were given 50,000 yuan a month, would you be willing to go to a place with good scenery but no mobile phone, internet, or TV? He still clearly remembers that what he left at the time was, I will go now, wherever I am. Now he regrets death. So boring tilde. Suddenly, he stood up and walked outside. Come here. He naturally wants to go out and see with his own eyes, what does this palace look like? Young master, where are you going? Seeing Yi Yang, Xiaodouting left the Jinyang palace without saying hello, and hurriedly chased after him. Go out for a walk and relax. Yi Yang didn't turn his head back and stepped out of the door. When he walked out of the Jinyang palace, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. Red walls, majestic high walls, and golden glazed tiles shine in the sunlight. Yi Yang stared blankly at the building in front of him, and a sense of insignificance rose in his heart. He couldn't imagine how these workers built the palace so magnificently by manpower in an era when iron technology was not yet mature. Surrounded by towering old trees, shady trees, red walls and golden tiles, splendid gold and green, similar to the Forbidden City, which made him have the illusion that he did not pass through, but entered the Forbidden City. If it weren't for the memory of the original owner still remaining in his mind, he would definitely not believe that he had passed through. Looking at this magnificent palace all the way, I really admire the wisdom of this dynasty. The more I look, the majestic high wall, without the aid of high technology. I don't know how it can be stacked so high. Unconsciously, he came to the imperial garden and was stunned when he saw the beautiful scenery in front of him. Exotic flowers and plants, pavilions, lofts, craggy mountains and rocks, rockeries and flowing water, and stone paintings are the roads. If he ignored the strange snuggling scene in the pavilion, Yi Yang might even recite a poem to express his joy in loving nature. Master, let's go back. Xiaodouting naturally noticed that in the pavilion in the distance, concubine Su was snuggling up in the arms of the current sage and acting like a spoiled child. Yi Yang got goosebumps all over his body, and nodded again and again. Yes, hurry back. Or you will be blinded. He turned around quickly and went back the same way. Too hot eyes, too hot eyes. There are thousands of beautiful women in the world. Fuck. Why don't you wanna hug a man? Yi Yang was about to die of anger, blinding such a good identity. If he is the emperor, then the harem beauties 3,000 are not allowed to him. Wow, how exciting is it to think about it? As soon as he walked out of the imperial garden, he encountered a delicate and indistinguishable beauty head-on. If the other party hadn't appeared in the West Palace, he might have suspected that the other party was a woman. The emperor's female concubines and male concubines lived separately. The female concubines lived in the East Palace and enjoyed a very high right to speak and reputation. After all, women could have children, and mothers were more valuable than children. Although male concubines also have various titles of noble concubine and concubine. No male concubine can sit in the position of queen. Because male concubines can't have children, once they are tired of being played by the emperor, they can only die alone. So their status is far inferior to that of women in the East Palace. Especially the unloved male concubine, living in the palace is not as good as outside. Just like the original owner. When he was favored, a meal of 5 dishes and 1 soup became a meal of 1 dish now, and the hardships of those days were comparable to the original owner in his original family. Brother Yi Fei is really in a good mood today. He actually has time to hang out in the imperial garden. Can we communicate normally? Yi Yang turned back. A good man is inappropriate. What kind of slut is he? The man looked confused. Wasn't he communicating normally? It seems to be unable to communicate normally. Yi Yang shook his head, ignoring the man, and walked past him directly. The ignored man raised his eyebrows and raised his eyes with anger, and said strangely, "A concubine who is about to be demoted. Dare to ignore this noble concubine?" Concubine Ling. Yi Yang learned from the memory of the original owner that this person is ruthless and has the support of the Prime Minister's father, who walks almost sideways in the West Palace. Whoever dares to fight against him will definitely die tragically. In the entire West Palace, apart from the imperial concubine Xuechun, who is in charge of the West Palace, who is not afraid of him, who else is not afraid of him? Prince Concubine, my son has been in poor health these days. So I rushed back to rest, accidentally offended the young concubine, and hoped that the young lady let by go hands. Xiaodaoding didn't expect Yi Yang to ignore concubine Ling, so frightened. He fell to his knees on the ground. Beg for mercy for your son. Yi Yang was deeply moved when he saw Xiaodaoding interceding for him. Although Xiaodaoding is a servant, he is loyal to the original owner, and even afraid that no one will serve the original owner after entering the palace, he is willing to enter the palace clean and serve the original owner. My concubine sees that your son is in good spirits. How does he look like someone who is sick? Concubine Ling was not so foolish. He lowered his face and said coldly, I don't even salute when I see this concubine, concubine Yi. It's really courageous. Following the principle that one more thing is better than one less thing. Yi Yang bent slightly towards concubine Ling based on the memory of the original owner. Yi Yang pays respects to the son of the concubine. Concubine Ling wanted to find fault with Yi Yang. But seeing that Yi Yang was so knowledgeable, he had no chance to find fault, so he snorted coldly and walked towards the imperial garden with his arrogant head raised. A group of eunuchs behind him quickly followed in his footsteps.